Okay, in the next part of the story, the disciples sort of embarrassed themselves because I'll read it to you.
It's such a weird
Suddenly, there appeared to them Moses and Elijah talking with Jesus. Then Peter said to Jesus, "Lord, it is good for us to be here. If you wish, I will make 3 dwellings here, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah." And in the next, what comes next is the voice in the cloud. It's like, Jesus is my son. But you could see where they were coming from. Jesus appears, is talking to Moses and Elijah are dead. He's talking to the spirits of Moses and Elijah. You can see why Peter would think, oh, you guys are all of the same category of thing.
Yeah.
So why bring Moses and Elijah out? It doesn't even say what they said. Doesn't say how they reacted. Did they wave to the disciples? Could they see them? It just says he's talking to them.
Yeah.
Why do that?
Yes, and it never struck me before, but I tried to put myself in their shoes. To them, Moses and Elijah, when I look back, I think, oh, Jesus was there?
Yeah.
But to them, it's like Moses and Elijah have way more cachet than Jesus. I mean, yeah, they're following him around, and he's remarkable, but they don't know what's going on. And
yeah,
I don't know. The prophet's not without honor except in his own they don't fully get what's going on.
Right.
But Moses and Elijah,
those are the heavy
I
hitters.
hadn't thought about it, but that's huge for them because they, wrote Hebrew scriptures and long, centuries and centuries in the past.
So, again, you get to this conundrum where it's like, Moses and Elijah are human beings. Like you, like me.
That's right.
But are they in a tier of humans where Jesus would appear alongside them? When do I appear there? When does anyone else?
Yeah. And why not Elisha, or why not Aaron, or
Right.
Joshua, or these other
Right.
great characters?
Is it that there's a couple of people that are like the major celebrities of the human race, or is there a symbolism just like there is with the disciples that applies to everyone, everywhere, all the time?
In another gospel, in Luke also has a story of the transfiguration, and there you find out a tiny bit about what their conversation was, that they just were talking to Jesus about his death that was coming up soon.
Oh, it says that?
Yeah.
Nice.
But that's you don't hear a word of who is saying what, or they're having a conversation about this death, which again to the disciples, like, what?
They don't know he's going to die. But
This is some future event.
Think you would capture those words. So this is the place where correspondence, you can't deny. You can't deny this correspondence. It's so self-evident. It just makes
this is one that really clicks to
obvious
me.
sense. See if it does for you at home, like it does for me. The Lord, this is going to Swedenborg, Secrets of Heaven 5922. The Lord was showing Peter, James, and John his divine humanity as it really was, and as it appeared in divine light. The form in which he was then seen presented an image of the Word, as it is in its inner meaning, and consequently of the divine truth that exists in heaven. For this reason, the vision included Moses and Elijah speaking with the Lord, since Moses represents the law, meaning the books he wrote along with the narrative books, and Elijah represents the prophets, that is, the prophetical part of the word.
Now does anybody else say the transfiguration?
Take my money. Take my money, Swedenborg. Just take it.
Just take it. You deserve it.
Of course. You have there's Jesus, and then you have the two major components of the scriptures at the time, which is the books of Moses, Genesis, Exodus, Numbers, and then the prophetic parts, which is like the Isaiah, the Psalms.
Yeah. And so there's this saying, the law and the prophets, right? It's the law, and Moses is the law, Elijah's the prophets. And you only need 2 of them. There were lots of different prophets, but those 2 figures do that whole thing in one go. And who thinks that the transfiguration is Jesus as an embodiment. I mean, yes, we all know that in John chapter 1 it says, he was the Word.
That.
Are we quoting that?
Just a second. Yep.
It's union rules. You have to quote it.
Well, you have to quote it, but you don't have to understand it. In the beginning was the Word, and when the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and the Word
God,
became
the
flesh
was in the beginning with
dwelt
God, all
among
things
us.
were made.
What are you talking about? Here it's explaining what he's talking about. Oh, this is another from Swedenborg, Apocalypse Revealed, 897. We are told that after the Lord was transfigured, Moses and Elijah appeared in glory. Moses and Elijah there symbolized the Word. This is reasserting that. The Lord himself also then caused himself to appear to the disciples as the Word in its glory. And then True Christianity, number 261. And this is where it quotes what we were just quoting. I wrote a note beside this that says, Jonathan, what does this mean?
Okay, good. I'll be ready.
Hey man, I get a little bit interview time here. You're gonna help suss this out for me. While in the world, the Lord fulfilled everything in the Word. By doing so, he became the Word or divine truth, even on the last or outermost level. The Lord was, of course, the Word or divine truth before he came, but only on the first or inmost level. We read, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. When the Word became flesh, however, the Lord became the Word even on the last or outermost level. This is why the Lord is called the first and the last. And he gives references in Revelation and Isaiah for that. So what are we talking about? Okay, so the Lord is the Word. I don't even know what the Word is. What's the Word? It's divine truth?
Yeah, I mean, on the face of it, the Word is the Bible, the Old and the New Testament. But he says inwardly, what's in there is this divine truth.
Okay.
And you're a God who hides yourself. The divinity is hidden in the text. Everybody knows it's holy. It's called the Holy Bible. It says that right on the spine. But what is holy in there?
Whenever I put my pad down, people know they can skip ahead 10 minutes.
Good.
Because we're about to go on.
Because we're about to get into it here.
Really good. Do a barn raising right here.
Yeah, that's right. So I think of truth in this situation. Be hard to defend my point of view, but the truth as the form, like you have substance and you have form. Mm-hmm. So here's the substance of gold. Oh, and it's shaped like a mouse here or something.
That's
There's
right.
a biblical
My gold
story
mouse.
about this. So
my lucky gold mouse.
Golden mouse. So there's substance, and then it's in this form. The divine love is the substance of God, and then it takes this form of divine truth. So divine truth is kind of the folder, the envelope. It's the vessel that reflects what that divine love is. That always had to exist. And because everything that happens in the universe happens by love knows what needs, love chooses that this should happen. Mm. Truth is the part that knows how to do it, or the divine wisdom, mm-hmm. So love says, well, I have this purpose of creating a human race. And then wisdom says, well, here's how you do that would reflect divine love. So that embodiment has always happened since the beginning of time. It has to be there. And that's why John would say, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. It is God, but it's also with in the sense that it's the form of this divine love. Am I making any sense whatsoever?
This is exactly great. And the first thing that you said, I feel like really opens it up. Okay, I ordered something on Amazon. And what did I order? Well, I ordered some socks. And then I hear the dogs barking at the door. And I look out, and sure enough, my socks are here. This is going to break down. But what I actually see
I like where you're going.
is not socks. I do not see the socks. I see a little brown paper baggy thing. But the socks are in there.
Yes.
That is the carrier for the socks. To me, it's like that's where the socks are. So you said the divine truth, well, the Word is the Bible. The Word is the Bible. However, like sort of, the Bible is the part that we see of the divine truth. It's the packaging. Because I don't think, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think since time immemorial, there's been the book of Genesis, the book of Acts. Like, there's not a copy of the bound Bible sitting up in heaven. There's the truth that's inside of it. There's the spiritual, the meaning that we're trying to uncover here. That is it. That's like the face of God. And then it has taken a number of forms in the world. Swedenborg talks about the ancient word that came before this word.
It was quite different.
Nature?
Yeah.
He said nature.
Different stories, different,
At one point,
quite different.
People
but the same truth, the same truth embodied.
At one point, people could read that same truth in, from what I understand, in nature. That Swedenborg would talk about ancient peoples that would worship on mountains because they didn't need to hear about the mountain in the Bible. They saw the mountain and understood that's what it meant. However, as the human race changed, it became necessary to package that eternal truth in different forms. The current one is what we call the Bible. So that's good. I get that.
Yeah, and it's a very interesting analogy you make because when you're ordering the socks online,
the divine socks,
you have socks in mind. You're thinking about socks.
I sure do.
And then you go through images online of socks until you find the ones that you think are those seem that seems right, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You haven't seen the physical socks. It happens to us sometimes that we order something and it comes and it's tiny or it's way too big.
I think they call that nailed it. Like where you order something and then the real thing arrives and it's 1/4 the size you think it is and you're supposed to post it. This is what you're supposed to do probably 6 years ago. You post it and you say nailed it.
I'm showing my... Yeah,
no.
Right.
This is me. I've just barely figured out what a meme is. So give me a little space here.
That's good. And then, in a way, those images of the socks would be a kind of divine truth that always existed. Like that was already there, in the divine, if you see what I mean.
Yep.
But then when Jesus is born, it's like the socks are on your doorstep.
Oh, yeah.
They actually physically exist. It's not just a picture online or it's not an image of it. It's an actual woven item that's out there in a box on your doorstep, you know?
You can put on your feet and they can keep your feet warm.
And so that divine truth has come down onto a different level now to do something that couldn't be done by the picture online. And yet without the picture online, you wouldn't be ordering.
I've been reading a book called Swedenborg's Systematic Theology by Reverend Prescott Rogers.
Okay.
And it's this great summary of summary of Swedenborg is a crude way to put it. But he was saying that the word is all the means of salvation. That's what the word, everything in the word, all these truths and everything, the only function of them is the salvation of human beings, which the salvation of human beings is the bringing of them into heaven. So your sock analogy, my sock analogy, that now I feel like you own it now, is that the socks, sure, they exist in God's factory somewhere, in his warehouse, but that's not why God doesn't need to have those socks. The only reason he makes anything outside of himself is for the salvation of the human race. So those socks always wanted to do was be warm on your feet.
Yes, that's right.
Because all the salvation in the word.
They don't exist to sit in a factory and be inventoried every year or something. That was not why.
So Jesus Christ is the socks going on your feet. He's embodying all the word out on our level so that it can reach us and touch us through the word, through all these miraculous means, and it can do the thing that the word wants to do, which is bring you into heaven.
And it's amazing to think about Jesus talking to Moses and Elijah, because it's a little picture because we know